note that had some secret information that, unfortunately, you know, our Star City Games Masters, I'm not sure if they care for us to talk about it just right now, because we got a match underway. Bobby Sullivan with no rug versus Kurt Spiess. We got a fetch land. Wooded Foothills is going to go find something. Sometimes in the Midwest we call those sack lands, but not everyone goes that way.
I go with fetch lands.
That's kind of like the Coke and the pop,
Yeah.
you know, or the pop and the soda.
Soda and pop, exactly.
Tonic around these parts.
And we've got an island facing off versus forest. Now, in this case, you'll notice that this is the first time we've seen the no-rug list actively in the top 8 get out of basic, while Kurt Spiess does have Wasteland. Protecting himself from Wasteland is a relevant possible play. Noble Hierarch versus a Brainstorm right now in terms of plays. That's an end-of-turn Brainstorm. Second island from Kurt Spiess. Bobby Sullivan lays a tropical island. He's got 3 mana here. Attacks for 1. The kobold turns into a squire. Kurt Spiess lays a wasteland. Casts a Sword of Feast and Famine, tapping out. Brainstorm in response from Bobby Sullivan.
Alright, but this is gonna take a print because I mean it took forever and like if I that's like yeah, the thing is
Untap from Bobby Sullivan.
Alright, so off the top we have, well, we won't say it was off the top. There's a Wooded Foothills in play now. Luckily, it does seem to be something of a crowd still in here, stifling some of the sound.
He's got a natural order in his hand, a classic Jamie Wakefield style natural order from, I believe that's Mirage? I forget.
Visions
was it Visions?
Is the one with the leopard on it?
The leopard
yes,
on it.
That's Visions.
Not the one with the cougar on it, or was it Panther? I forget. What did you say?
There isn't one like that.
I know. And we get a Wasteland. Is that the Scavenging Ooze?
That's the Scavenging Ooze.
I haven't seen it yet. I don't know what the art looks like. I'm like, what is that card? It's probably a card I don't know by the art. Scavenging Ooze it is. And the fetch underway from Bobby Sullivan. Island, Island, Wasteland on Kurt Spice's side with a Sword of Feast and Famine. Forest Mountain with Noble Hierarch. And Scavenging Ooze. The ooze has nothing to eat yet. But someday.
Yeah. I mean, it could be relevant to eat some lands, even though it wouldn't pump it, just to...
well, he does know that Kurt has... he's seen the list. He knows that Kurt has Crucible of the Worlds.
Exactly. So there's a Brainstorm from Bobby. Now, I was talking to Kurt about the sword. There's a Spellstarter spray for that Brainstorm.
Brainstorm's countered. End of the turn, he does not tap the mana to get the Wasteland there. It probably won't come into play, but it's certainly something that could come into play.
It's something he could have done, yeah. So I was talking to Kurt about the swords because I've seen actually these lists running either, like all of them seem to choose one sword.
Volcanic Island.
There's a Volcanic Island.
Go ahead.
Well, all of them seem to choose one sword. Like some choose Feast and Famine, some are using Body and Mind, and others are using Sword of Fire and Ice. And he just feels like the as good as Sword of Fire and Ice seems, he's like a lot of times that damage or that extra card. You know, it's nice to draw a card, but he feels like having all that extra mana and making your opponent discard is just so much stronger with the Sword of Feast and Famine.
Scavenging Ooze attacks for 2. Green Sun Zenith for 2. And that says okay. Yeah, the decision about those questions on which sword to run really are based entirely on 2 things. 1, metagame, and 2, a decision by the deck builder or the pilot about what are the parts of the metagame that you're going to be fighting over. And for Kurt, apparently it sounds like he cares about that mana.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, what can your deck capitalize on best?
And Noble Hierarch times 2 now.
2 Noble Hierarchs on board. Kurt untaps, plays a Tundra.
I think we're going to see an attempt to equip. Spellstarter Sprite carries a sword, in it comes.
I mentioned earlier today, I believe, or maybe it was yesterday, I think it actually may have been both, how the super IQs that Star City runs, and...
oh, wait, what's this?
I'll wait to see what's going on here.
He put a mana in his pool.
Yeah, he did.
What's he going to do with it? This free mana that he gets. He's only got this moment to use it. Is it going to be a Swords to Plowshares? Is it going to be a mana into a Vendilion Click? What is it going to be?
Just thinking about it. Kurt actually works at Xanadu Games, who's run some of those super IQs and actually aired some of them, or, well, call it airing. Yeah, it's a Swords to Plowshares for us.
Yep. Noble Hierarch runs away. He's not going to put up the fight anymore.
Yeah, Kurt works at Xanadu Games, where they've had some of these IQ invitational qualifiers for Star City, and they covered one live coverage online not long ago.
Mental misstep for that Swords to Plowshares, paying 2 life for Bobby Sullivan. Mental misstep resolves. Swords to Plowshares is countered. Kurt down to a single card in hand. Or is it 2 cards?
Yeah, he's got 2 cards.
Okay, Stoneforge
There's
Mystic.
a Stoneforge Mystic.
How does that sound? Bobby down to a single card in hand. Wow. Does he not get anything with the Stoneforge Mystic?
That's interesting. I believe he already has the Batterskull in hand alongside another Stoneforge Mystic.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so he just moves the sword over. Dares Bobby to attack into the into the protection from green Stoneforge Mystic. That actually, we call that a Squire.
It's funny that Stoneforge Mystic is does have Squire's stats. It just has this amazing ability on top of it. I remember when Squire was printed, some of us felt kind of offended that the card existed. Here we have Natural Order. Does that resolve? It does indeed.
As far as what we know, it does resolve.
There's Progenitus. All it'll take is 2 attacks from that Progenitus for Kurt's game to be over. Main deck, his answers to Progenitus are Race It. Now, we just saw this example. It looked like Kurt was in commanding position, but suddenly it's, okay, kill me in 2 turns or it's over.
Well, the interesting thing, though, in this particular situation, he really didn't have many, like, counterspell kind of things. He had a Swords to Plowshares to deal with something, which was Mental Misstep. He had a Spellstarter Sprite, and he just finally utilized Force of Will.
Looks like he puts on a Batterskull before the trigger from the Sword of Feast and Famine hits. Yeah, he didn't have many of his control elements. Batterskull is going to
Help him race it.
Help him race. He can put that Batterskull onto...
Well, the Germ just picked up the sword.
Yeah.
And now he's just deciding, do I want to Wasteland? Yeah.
Yeah, he goes for the Wasteland.
Waste
So,
your
Bobby
tropical
is
island.
2 swings from dead
Not
here.
Not a volcanic island.
And Progenitus can swing for 11.
Yeah, it's really interesting here where Progenitus can swing, but...
I think that 11 is sufficient, actually. Because Kurt can gain 6 and go to 22. But he'll actually be down to 11 after this Progenitus swing.
Right.
So yeah, it looks like Bobby will be able to knock Kurt exactly to 0 unless something else adds to the power of that Germ.
That's interesting. I don't know what Kurt drew. If he can deal with the Hierarch.
He gains 6 life.
Yeah, it's a matter of can he deal with the Hierarch. That would actually be another way
another
to...
path. Yeah, kill the Hierarch. That would give him a whole turn. Progenitus just does not give you much luxury of time.
Yeah. No, I'm having trouble seeing what he drew, but maybe a
I think
brainstorm.
a Force of Will. I saw.
I know he had that in his hand already, alongside.
There is a
It is a
brainstorm.
brainstorm.
That's a
So he's got a
brainstorm.
brainstorm. So he's trying to figure out.
You can see him doing the
math.
math in his head. What he has to accomplish here.
So, swings in, I think, first. Yeah, looks like.
And Bobby takes 6, and Kurt gains 6, goes up to 11.
There's a brainstorm. What did Bobby discard?
Right, Bobby has to discard here. I think maybe this brainstorm is happening before the damage.
Yeah,
Just
just trying to get that
Is that
untapped.
swords?
It is.
Is that a sword
It
to
is.
plowshares?
It is. Indeed.
Discard your card, he says. Bobby
Yeah.
discards a daze.
Wasn't going to be relevant anyway, but good to know that Bobby is now empty-handed, so that Kurt can indeed deal with that hierarch and should live through another turn, assuming Bobby doesn't draw another hierarch and
Swords
resolve
the
it.
hierarch.
So this should put
And he is going to eat.
oh, okay, so he's gaining a life here.
Yep, gaining a life and making a slightly larger scavenging ooze.
I mean, how much more? He only has.
He eats another one.
Okay, so that-
another life. That puts him up to 6, right?
Yeah, and also, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So he can. Okay, so this is interesting. Green Sun Zenith. Oh, for a hierarch. Wow, man,
Oh
these
my
guys top decking the
goodness.
exact answers they need.
Oh, Kurt worked so hard for that. Oh, he played that so beautifully.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember Kurt now. Seeing that face shot, I definitely remember him. He's a good guy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
This isn't his first top 8 either, so.
And look at that.
He's just like,
he
man,
knows
the one card off the top, one of 2 cards off the top.
One of 3 Green Sun Zenith, and one of.
Yeah, I didn't mean it as a one of, but yeah, it was either like he had to either draw a hierarch or like a Green Sun Zenith.
Okay, there it is.
I mean, he only had 2 mana available, so it's not like even a brainstorm into a Green Sun Zenith would have worked.
A lightning bolt would have worked.
That's true.
So and also a fire ice would have worked.
Okay, you're right. There were actually more outs than
So
I was thinking.
he had 10 outs,
I was just thinking about the hierarch. I keep forgetting the burn spells.
and then also potentially a brainstorm into a hierarch. So or a lightning. Wow.
Yeah.
There's a-
Wow. Yeah. That's.
I mean, if it makes Kurt feel better if he watches this at a later point in time, Bobby had 10 outs plus any brainstorm into an out.
Yeah, and as I was saying, like it really, like he did not draw. He drew so few of his control elements. He had, I think, 3 basically squires.
Yeah.
I mean-
so rough beat there for
Yeah.
for Kurt.
Right.
And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna try to see about somebody getting a good beat.
Yeah. We're going to be giving away 6 months of Star City Games
6,
premium
1,
access.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
How many trimesters would that be?
You know, I think we've gone into this many times. I
Yeah.
think it's 2 trimesters.
Sounds about right. So, you want to go with this question here?
Which one is that? I think that was a good question.
All right.
Go with it.
All right, so we're going to ask a question. You're going to tweet the answer to hashtag SCG Premium.
That's right.
And if you answer correctly, you are entered in a pool to be randomly chosen to win 6 months of Star City Premium access.
It's okay if you put the @SCG Live. We don't need that. But you need the hashtag SCG Premium. There were a lot of people that answered the question before, and they did not put the hashtag SCG Premium. They were not eligible.
Right, because
So,
we just don't see it.
Yeah,
Like,
hashtag SCG
it's,
Premium.
It's all about that hashtag. So, the question for 6 months of SCG Premium: what players' videos have been featured today on our breaks? His MTGO videos. We've been
In
featuring
fact,
them.
all weekend we've been using him and this video as a feature.
Yeah.
And this is one little hint. It's a preview for
Right.
a next week article that will be on the premium side.
That's right. We've been featuring them all weekend long during the breaks.
What player and writers.
Right. He's also a writer. Yes.
Yep. What video?
So
Who is the author?
Who is the player? Right.
Yeah. Who is the author / player of these videos?
Right.
And hashtag SCG Premium for the answer.
All right. So going into game 2 here.
Now, Kurt gets all kinds more weapons for this fight. He gets double Wrath of God as a fight. He gets Umezawa's Jite as a means to fight the Hierarchs and the Birds and Vanillion Clicks from his opponent. He gets access to Red Elemental Blast ×1 and Pyroblast ×2, should he want all of that.
Right. Also, Spell Pierce could be...
Yeah, Spell Pierce is absolutely relevant. On the other side of the board, Bobby Sullivan gets 4 Red Elemental Blasts. He gets access to Ancient Grudge, which is pretty good against the Stoneforge Mystic deck. So, I think that's actually a fair amount of cards that end up mattering here.
Pretty interesting. So, this should be a good match. Both guys still in sideboarding.
Yeah.
Bobby looks a little tired.
I think that you're going to cut the Scavenging Ooze fairly easily. But do you cut Lightning Bolt and just leave yourself with Fire Ice and things like Umezawa's Jite as your...
What do we want to... I mean, how many cards are we bringing in?
Well, I think you should definitely bring in 2 Ancient Grudge, and you should probably bring in some number of Red Elemental Blasts, maybe even the full set of 6 or set of 4.
Right.
That's 6 cards.
Right.
And that's not even counting if you want to go into Jace the Mind Sculptor or not. But those 6 cards.
Yeah. Let me take a little closer look here. So, obviously, keep the Hierarch. The interesting thing here, though, he has 3 Hierarchs, 1 Birds. A lot of lists run 4 Hierarchs.
Yep.
So I was going to say, oh, just cut the Birds of Paradise. And I was like, oh, wait, no, that's the 4th Hierarch.
That's part of his mana.
Yeah, so you cut the Ooze. Vanillion Click seems so strong against Stoneforge Mystic, being able to click after somebody searches for, like, a Batterskull, for instance. Grim Lavamancer, again, pretty solid against Stoneforge in killing it before it can violin a Batterskull. But, one thing that Kurt was telling me about was how, he kind of expects people to be killing the Stoneforge Mystic, which is one of the reasons that he almost feels like the sword is what he wants in a lot more situations than the Batterskull. So, it's not so attractive to kill a Stoneforge Mystic when they're just going to tap 3 and play the sword anyway.
Right.
So maybe the Lavamancers could be a potential cut to make room for something like Red Elemental Blast.
Yeah, one of the things I like about the Lavamancer is the repeated damage can actually be a problem for Kurt.
That's true. Definitely.
Seeing whether or not they're going to keep their hands. Looks like Kurt has decided about where he's at, and Bobby is already ready. We get a suspend on the Ancestral Visions. We didn't see this from him in the first game. It was definitely in there. And he's able to lay his Volcanic Island without fear of Wasteland because Bobby Sullivan does not have room for Wasteland in his deck. Noble Hierarch from Bobby Sullivan.
It's interesting, somebody brings this up on Twitter about the last match, or last game, where Kurt could have possibly equipped his own creature and then plowed it to gain a bunch of life. Maybe like the Spellstutter Sprite, which,
wow.
That may have actually kept him alive. But the problem is, I guess he could have equipped, like, the, I can't remember exactly what he had. He had the Batterskull.
I think that would have done it.
Yeah, that may have been the out. But, of course, it doesn't look like that because it looks like all he needs to do is deal with the Hierarch. That's what we saw as well. Like, deal with the Hierarch, live through another turn.
That's a good call from, who was it that said that?
That is... Jeremy points at himself. It was somebody... unfortunately, I lost it because of all the SCG Premium
What we have then in play is a Birds of Paradise and a Noble Hierarch with 2 lands, a Taiga and a Misty Rainforest, facing off versus a Stoneforge Mystic. That card is being cast. It's not in play yet.
On the stack right now. We know that Bobby has brought in the Red Elemental Blast because there's one available right there on the top, front of his hand. So, Kurt finding a Batterskull.
Okay. Batter Skull going to be very powerful if it can get into play. It's going to be up to Bobby's, great. He'll be happy if he can just get rid of that Stoneforge Mystic just to buy time. Meanwhile, though, the Ancestral Visions is ticking down, so it's actually very important that Bobby gets something going before either of those eventualities comes to pass. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. Both players cutting each other's decks after their respective searches. End of the turn, Lightning Bolt takes care of Stoneforge Mystic if it resolves. This taps out Bobby Sullivan. That bird is sick. Untap. 4 mana. Draw. Looks like a Jace to me. He has a Jace, a Red Elemental Blast. I think a Mental Misstep. And a card that I can't quite discern. I think he says go there. End of the turn, Kurt untaps, ticks down his Ancestral Visions, and casts a Stoneforge Mystic. Bobby's thinking. Brainstorm in response. Looks like a red spell there. Is that an Ancient Grudge? That is indeed an Ancient Grudge that Bobby Sullivan has found. Puts a couple of cards back. I believe that Stoneforge Mystic is going to resolve. Kurt has access to a sort of Feast and Famine, and potentially on top of that, maybe have Umezawa's Jit. He goes with the sort of Feast and Famine, puts that in his hand. End of the turn, Bobby Sullivan, Vendilion Click. Kurt's answers to this could possibly be Blast or Force of Will, otherwise it's going to resolve. How's the Vendilion Click sound? And Kurt says, let me show you what I got. Sword of Feast and Famine, Batterskull, Force of Will, Jace, and Mental Misstep.
That is a powerful, powerful hand.
Yeah. If I knew that I could have 3 mana in play and that hand, I would probably have that hand all the time. It'd be like, yes, please. I will take it. Particularly since there's a Stoneforge Mystic that helps sculpt that. Okay.
So Batterskull to the bottom, yeah. Seems to me, I mean, as much as, well, it's how good that is to put the Batterskull back. It's funny, though, how quickly it can find its way right back up to the top or into your hand because of Stoneforge Mystic, you know?
Yeah.
Not that Kurt has one in hand, as we saw. I mean, could have drawn one off the top, but it's kind of interesting. It's not like putting something like Light from the Loam on the bottom of a library in the aggro loam matchup as we saw earlier.
Vendilion Click attacks for 4. Dryad Arbor. And I think Bobby Sullivan sees that Ancestral Vision's ticking down, and I think he's going to just wait to try to Pyroblast it.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's the plan. Especially now that he knows what Kurt has available to fight over it. So here we go.
Here goes the fight. Remember that Bobby Sullivan also has a Mental Misstep in hand.
And looks like so does Kurt.
Red Elemental Blast. Mental Misstep. It looks like he's paying 2 life for that. Yep, 2 life for that Mental Misstep. Bobby Sullivan, on the other hand, chooses to pay mana for his Mental Misstep. Mental Misstep targeting Mental Misstep here. That resolves. Red Elemental Blast is still on the stack. Force of Will, discarding Jace. Red Elemental Blast gets countered, and then Ancestral Vision
Resolve. Yeah. Actually
Or
resolve.
resolves,
Yeah.
not comes into play.
That would be weird. Attack with my ancestral vision.
Kurt Spiess's life is starting to get kind of low. 13 from a deck that can attack in the air for 4. That's not many turns to try to come back from that. He could have his own Vendilion Click to crush the opponent's click, but brainstorm. This turn, Kurt has seen 7 cards he hadn't seen before.
Yeah. And, well, thought maybe he was about to miss a land drop. That can't be.
Crazier things have been known to happen.
That's true. Alright, Brainstorm resolves. Finishes resolving. Flooded Strand from Kurt. Pass a turn.
Untap. Ancient Grudge in hand still. A fetch.
Yeah.
I believe this is going to be a upkeep Vendilion Click.
And it looks like you're right.
From the internet, Edgar Flores, on his way back to New York, wants to share that he's sad that he only got 2 open points this weekend. This means his lead is only huge, not really huge.
Yeah. Alright, so Vendilion Click resolves. Kurt targets Bobby. Of course, both Vendilion Clicks legend rule each other. And now Kurt sees the Ancient Grudge that Bobby brought in, Jace the Mind Sculptor, and another Vendilion Click from Bobby. And Jace goes to the bottom, giving Bobby a fresh card, which are we going to be able to see it when Bobby happens to draw it? And yes, we could see that it is a Force of Will.
Edgar Flores has 216 points in the Player of the Year race now. Alex Berncini is going to catch up a little bit because he's in the top 4 right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like Alex is probably going to surpass Jerry Thompson.
Interesting. That race is a tight one, or it's very got a lot of potential to be a tight one.
And it looks like we've got an effect during
Yeah,
the
here
upkeep.
we go. Upkeep
Hey,
Vendilion Click.
Vendilion Click. This card is a card that, in an article recently by Ben Swartz, Ben said that Vendilion Click is one of the best weapons against Hive Mind.
Yeah.
A red elemental blast stops this Vendilion Click from happening, and then Kurt continues with his turn. 4 mana, lays Jace the Mind Sculptor. Jace, Fate Seal. You can keep it, says Kurt.
That's from the perspective of the Jace player. That's the best kind of Fate Seal. The keep it Fate Seal. Unless, of course, you're wrong, and you give them something that they actually need.
A block from Stoneforge Mystic. When Stoneforge Mystic dies,
Yes.
the Noble Hierarch has pumped up the Dryad to a 2/2.
Kurt just chump blocks that time. So, Kurt brainstorming now with Jace.
So many cards in his hand.
Yeah, trying to get his control of this match, and he's doing a pretty good job of these last couple turns. I think that red elemental blast was huge.
Yeah, that was a big moment in the game.
Right, he Vendilion clicks, and then was able to red elemental blast Bobby's return Vendilion click.
That earlier fight over the Ancestral Vision was just a huge fight.
Yeah, that was another big one. But Kurt could afford to fight that fight because his hand was about to be refilled.
And now there's another Stoneforge Mystic. Force of Will and an Ancient Grudge in Bobby's hand. He might counterspell this with a hardcast Force of Will.
And it looks like
1,
that's
2,
what's
3, 4,
happening.
5. Force of Will.
So does Kurt have something like a Spell Pierce? Or does he... Okay, so Stoneforge Mystic countered successfully. Now Kurt knows exactly what's in Bobby's hand. And there's a second Noble Hierarch from Bobby.
He can't kill that Jace, but he can wound it pretty badly.
Kurt allows the Hierarch to resolve and wastelands away the attacking Dryad Arbor.
Go, says Bobby. Mutavaults there in play.
And there's a Fate Seal.
Seals once again. Now
Let me see,
Jace
you
is
can
at
keep
7.
Looks like another Mutavault. Yes. Another
Go.
Mutavault. Go. Bobby draws whatever it was that Kurt didn't mind giving him.
Perhaps a land? Perhaps something else?
Well, last time it was a land. This time it didn't look like one, but I could be wrong. It was a land. It was in Wooded Foothills. So, looks like Birds of Paradise are going to start trying to bring the beats here. And are they attacking Kurt or Jace? Looks like they may be attacking Kurt. Think so. No counters removed from Jace, so pass the turn to Kurt, draws his card. And we have a Brainstorm. Not from Jace, but from the card Brainstorm. Originally printed in Ice Age, reprinted again in Mercadian Masks. And then printed subsequently in some core sets, I believe.
Yeah, several core sets. Maybe only one.
Definitely exists a white border version of Brainstorm.
Jace attacks the top of Bobby Sullivan's library.
And another Keep It. Yeah, I mean that's how Jace attacks. He's got Vigilance. And that Jace now up to, is that 9 counters? Yeah.
And
Bobby cracks the Wooded Foothills to get a fresh card on top. Kurt, meanwhile, has sculpted a pretty solid hand, you have to assume, after Brainstorm with Jace a couple turns ago and a actual Brainstorm this turn. He knows Bobby only has Ancient Grudge in hand. He saw it with an Endilion click.
untap. Fresh card because of the shuffle. Oh, is that a Jace? I think that's a Jace.
It is. So, looks like the kind of situation where he would go for it. Yeah, and he is. So he plays a Jace. Now, again, Kurt knows. That works.
Boy.
Wow. I'm kind of surprised that Kurt didn't have some sort of counterspell for that after all that.
In the air, attack for 2. 0-1, pumps twice.
Swords to Plowshares.
Gains 0 life if Kurt times it right, which I'm imagining he will. Kurt reorganizing his land, getting ready for a Jace backup.
Yeah.
Let's
Fate
look
Seal,
again.
Start
Attack your
this over
library.
again, yeah. That time.
To the bottom.
To the bottom, yeah.
Gives Bobby a chance for a fresh card that could be dangerous. That's a Wooded Foothills.
Not too dangerous, but it does also give Bobby the out to the next Fate Seal, right?
Yeah, that's right. One of the things that a lot of people, if that is correct, indeed a Wooded Foothills. In with the Dryad Arbor for 3 after pumping. It is a Wooded Foothills. One of the things that a lot of people might do in a Fate Seal position with Jace is, here Kurt Spiess Brainstorms with the Jace, is leave a card on top against a savvy opponent when you know that it's a card they might actually want, because then the Wooded Foothills might just get sacked.
Right.
In fact, it usually will get sacked. So you're attempting there just to get rid of their shuffle effect.
Right.
And then if you know that your opponent might do such a thing, you can get into a Princess Bride style Sicilian situation. You bested my giant, so therefore you must be a strong man. But you would have known I would know that. The Brainstorm effect from Jace. Kurt passes the turn, and Bobby untaps the Dryad Arbor. Ancient Grudge and an Umazawa's Jite. Oh my goodness
Down
gracious
comes the
me.
Jite.
I don't think that can be pyroblasted.
looks like he's equipping the Dryad Arbor with the Jite. Such a strange situation where a piece of grass picks up a Jite. I guess Dryad Arbor is more than a piece of grass, but it's just so funny.
A murky haze comes over the room. I think we got some smokers outside.
Not exactly sure what just happened. Somebody breathed on the camera.
Okay, we have is that a second source to Plowshares or another source of Plowshares?
Yeah.
Okay. We have a word from coverage man on the floor, Glenn Jones. In Game 3, a prize split was arranged, and Alex is given a concession by Rob Castallen.
Huh, interesting. So no Reanimator in the finals.
That's right, and
that means no Rug in the finals.
That's right.
Not no Rug, but no Rug.
No Rug in the finals, right. Now, who knows how that Game 3 would have gone, but Alex Berncini will be in the finals.
Any idea what the deal is? This camera, it's very going out of focus or something. Okay. All right, there's Jace bouncing a Noble Hierarch.
See, 3 mana, 4 mana, Jace. I think that's going to run into a Pyroblast or a Red Elemental Blast.
One or the other.
Pyroblast. That's a really devastating turn for Bobby.
Yeah, I mean, he tapped the Hierarch to do that, and
Gotcha.
when he could have, equipped it with the Jite and attacked.
Even there, throwing away the Noble Hierarch to one of the Mutavaults.
Yeah.
I mean,
probably not great.
Not great. Bobby's in dangerous position here no matter what happens, but that was a rough moment for him right there.
There's the Hierarch that was bounced with Jace coming back down, and a mental misstep from Kurt paying the actual mana this time.
Kurt is at a low 6 life.
Yeah, so.
It looks like a lot of land in Kurt's hand to me. Mental misstep and land and...
He's got 4 cards, and I think 1 or 2 of them are, in fact, lands.
He goes Fate Seal, up to 6. I know I'm partly too in love with brainstorming, but man, I would have brainstormed. Sword of Feast and Famine. Wow. Equip, nothing to block.
Bobby's tapped out, even though
untap. An Ancient Grudge goes to the yard. Waiting right now for Bobby to decide what to do. He has an Ancient Grudge in the graveyard that he could flash back. He has an Umezawa's Jite he could equip to his Noble Hierarch. He goes for the flashback, destroys the Sword of Feast and Famine successfully. Now he's still facing down a Jace with 6 loyalty. There are 2 Mutavaults, it looks like, on the other side of the table. And a lot of lands. Kurt has 3 spells left in his hand as well, or 3 cards. I believe that one of them is a land and one of them is a spell. I should say one of them is a land, 2 of them are spells. Noble Hierarch equips the Umezawa's Jite. Is that a lightning bolt in Bobby Sullivan's hand? Noble Hierarch trying to decide if he wants to trade with a Mutavault. Comes on in. Mutavault quickly brought out by Kurt Spiess.
So he activates Mutavault number 1. And,
I think we're going to see a lightning bolt on that Mutavault. Or at least an attempt at lightning bolt, perhaps. Nope, he does not. Kurt blocks. Noble Hierarch dies, and Umezawa's Jitte gets 2 counters on it. One of which is immediately used to kill the Mutavault. And he says go. Now that lightning bolt represents the potential just to kill Kurt Spiess.
Yeah, that's I think what Bobby's thinking. Here we have a Mutavault attacking Bobby for 2. Flooded Strand. Suspend Ancestral Visions.
Oof.
And
Kurt.
I'm a little confused. Did he just not activate Jace? Did I miss that?
I believe he brainstormed with it.
Okay.
A fetch from Kurt drops himself down to 5 life. 2 life away from that lightning bolt threatening death.
So one of the interesting things is we know that Batterskull is still available in Kurt's library, which could significantly change the clock situation here for this game. Jace brainstorms.
Mental misstep in Kurt Spice's hand, which makes the lightning bolt plan much less effective for Bobby.
Also, I believe a Pyroblast he kept. Alright, Mutavault. Swinging in again.
Bobby
knocks
takes
Bobby
2,
to
goes
10.
to 10.
Now Bobby will die to a Progenitus if Kurt somehow manages to no-rug it into play. Not likely.
Kurt lays another land. Bobby draws. Looks like a Wooded Foothills. Alex Bertoncini excited for the possibility to defend his title, coming by with Magic Ultrist Hannah
Murray. Yep. Kurt fetches an island. Goes down to 4 life. Now this is getting dangerous.
I mean, even though he has that mental misstep in his hand, I mean, he might get it baited out of his hand by, like, let's say, a Noble Hierarch, which could carry a Jitte and represents a small threat.
That's true.
Brainstorm. And then Bobby Sullivan somehow finds a pair of Barbarian Rings, and it's all over.
Alright, Mutavault again in for 2. Meantime, that Ancestral Visions, just off screen actually, under the word series in Open Series, just kind of sitting there, you kind of see the bottom corner of it, is ticking down.
Wasteland. That's another land.
There's a
for Bobby
Vendilion Click
Sullivan.
for Kurt, which will
oh boy.
Vendilion Click's going to show Kurt exactly what Bobby's got available.
I think response here.
Yeah, response here is going to be an attempt at that lightning bolt because he knows he's going to lose it otherwise. Kurt.
Oh, the
pays
back-breaking mental misstep.
for the mental misstep here.
There you go.
Let me see. Land,
see.
keep him.
Not that he has a choice.
Yeah. That's true.
And for those of you who are wondering at home, our voices have dropped significantly now in volume because there are enough people who have left the venue that it's possible our voices could be heard.
So Kurt plays a Wasteland and immediately wastes something. want to say it was Wooded Foothills.
Yeah.
It
Like
was.
he wants,
He's trying to do some extra damage here,
and
but
then Jace attacks the deck.
yeah, he keeps Wooded Foothills from being able to search out any Dryad Arbors, which, or take down. Are there even any Dryad
There's
Arbors
none left. He's got
Okay,
both of
I
them
was
have
gonna say,
been killed.
I didn't think there were.
Umazawa's Jite kills the Vendilion click, and Mutavault manages to connect to the face. Misty Rainforest.
from Bobby, and now Kurt. Ancestral
Three
Visions
cards
resolves.
and Ancestral Visions. Just burying Bobby under cards.
Jace Brainstorm. Kurt looking through the 25 cards in his hand.
I think it's 26, man.
Oh, sorry. Roughly.
No worries.
Mutavault
Attack
you.
for 2, down to 4.
Jace Fate Seal you.
What you got?
Keep
it.
Brainstorm. Oh, attack with. I'm sorry. It's attack with Mutavault.
And he just draws it and scoops it.
All right, so going to game 3 here. That was
Oh my
that
goodness,
was a tight
epic,
one.
epic game.
Yeah.
Oh my
This
goodness.
is very well played on both sides of the table to just fighting tooth and nail for the win on that one.
Waiting in the wings. In this case, actually waiting.